Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Ma'am Bayalan. My topic is about how the agricultural revolution led to the industrial revolution. For our content, here are the key topics of our video reporting today. Hunter-gatherer societies, first agricultural revolution, second agricultural revolution, green revolution, and last agricultural revolutions. 2. Industrial revolution. Hunter-gatherer societies in the earliest stage of human history, people live as hunter-gatherer, meaning they survive by hunting animals and collecting wild fruits, nuts, and edible plants from their environment. So, these early humans formed small communities and were constantly on the move, following the migration pattern of animals and the seasonal availability of plants because their lifestyle depended entirely on nature. They did settle in one place permanently. This nomadic way of life was necessary for survival, but it also limited how many people could live in a group. Since food was never guaranteed and resources could be the population stayed relative low. Raising many children was difficult because families had to travel frequently and could carry large supplies. Despite their survival needs, hunter-gatherer society had little to no negative impact on the environment. They didn't clear land or build large structures. There was no deforestation, no farming, and no domesticated animals. Instead, they used what the natural world already provided, which helped keep ecosystem balanced. In a way, their lifestyle was very sustainable because it didn't alter or destroy their surrounding. However, things eventually started to change as the global climate began to shift, causing animals to migrate differently, plant life to decline in some areas, and certain resources to become harder to find. Some communities faces increasing food stress. This environmental pressure, combined with the need for more reliable sources of food, led some groups to experiment with planting seeds and staying in one place. So this slow but crucial shift eventually gave rise to agriculture, which completely transformed human society in the century to come. First agricultural revolution. The first agricultural revolutions began around 10,000 BCE in places with rich soil and water, like Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. People in these regions started to domesticate animals such as goat and sheep and grow crops like wheat and barley. This was a huge change from the hunter-gatherer lifestyle because it allowed people to settle in one place permanently. They built homes, villages, and eventually towns. As farming became more successful, communities began to grow. They produced more food than they immediately needed, which means not everyone had to work in agriculture. Some people became potter, tool makers, or warriors. So this created job specializations and helped develop early forms of society. Over time, this growing settlement turned into cities like Samar and Mohenjo-daro, where government and social classes began to form. So, with more complex societies, people also invented tools and systems to help them manage life better. They developed irrigation to water their crops, and began using tools like the plow and pottery for farming and storage. So this change started to affect the environment. Land was cleared, forests were cut down, and rivers were redirected, while farming was harder physically than hunting and gathering. It provided more reliable food, which helped human civilizations move forward in a big way. The second are agricultural revolutions. The second agricultural revolutions happened around the same time as the Enlightenment and scientific revolutions in Europe, when new ways of thinking and experimenting were being applied to all areas of life, including farming. During this period, farmers started using better techniques like crop rotation, especially the four-field system, which kept soil healthy and increased yields. They also practiced selective breeding to make animals grow bigger and produce more milk or meat. One important invention was Jethro tool seed drills, which planted seeds more efficiently than by hand. All of these improvements led to a huge increase in food productions. Farming became more organized and efficient, and instead of just growing enough for their families, farmers now produce crop for sale in market. This shift helped raise profits and encourage more innovations. And as farm grow more productive with fewer workers needed, many people, especially in rural areas, were forced to move to cities to look for work. This large movement of people helped build the workforce that powered the industrial revolutions. So the increased supply of food also supported a growing populations, which create the extra new market for goods and services. The extra wealth from food trade and agriculture gave people the ability to invest in new machine and industries. So, in many ways, the second agricultural revolution laid the foundation for the industrial revolution by improving farming, fueling population growth, and creating a strong labor force ready for factory work. So, the Green Revolution was a major turning point in global agriculture that began after World War II. During the mid 20th century, it aimed to solve food shortage and prevent famine, especially in developing countries, by using science and technology to improve farming. One of the key breakthroughs was the creations of high-yield crop varieties like IR8 rice, which produce much more grain per plant than traditional types. Farmers also began using synthetic fertilizer and pesticide to protect and strengthen their crops. So new tools and machines, along with advanced irrigation system, made farming faster and more productive. Countries like India were able to avoid massive famines during this time thanks to the Green Revolution. The agricultural revolution to industrial revolution did just change farming. It played a big role in starting the industrial revolutions. So as farmers began using mechanized tools like reapers and early tractors, these inventions inspired similar design in factories. So people realized machines could do work faster and more efficiently, which became the key idea behind industrializations. Techniques developed on farms, such as focusing on productivity and organizing tasks by seasons or time, were later adopted in factories to improve efficiency. Because agriculture became so productive, people were needed to work on farms. So this meant a large number of workers became available and many moved into city to find jobs in new industry. For our conclusion, the connection between agriculture and industry is stronger than it seems. When farming became more efficient, fewer people were needed to grow food. This allowed many workers to leave the countryside and move to cities, where they became the workforce for new industry. As your urban areas like London and Manchester expanded, they turned into major center for factories, steel productions, and coal mining. The knowledge farmers used, like managing time, working with seasons, and maximizing output, was later applied to factory routines and production schedule. This shift didn't just change where people work; it also transformed how economies functions. Instead producing just enough to survive. Both farms and factories started focusing on producing more than what was needed. This led to the rise of surplus trade and job specializations, important part of our modern economic system. So in the end, the agricultural revolution did just grow crops. It planted the seed for the industrial revolutions and the way we live and work today.